Is astrology a guide to aid us in mastering the universe? This is the Cosmic Community Podcast with Galactic Ambassador Stacey Dredd. This astrology report is for the week of April 7th, and we have an interesting week ahead. It's really a Mars-ruled week, and we have Mercury finally leaving the retrograde shadow, so we get to enter some new territory with Mars moving into Aries. That's a lot of new territory and new cycles starting as Mars is going to be leaving the sign of Pisces, makes a sextile to Uranus, and then once it makes it into Aries, it has a conjunction with Neptune. So quite the action going on, because Mars is the planet of action and of our physical body. And then finishing out the week, we have a beautiful little sextile between Venus and Jupiter. Yeah. And Venus and Jupiter are the two most benevolent planets in astrology. So that's just very, very sweet. And so, yeah, we start the week on April 7th with the Sagittarius moon. And the moon is like the mood. It creates the vibe. This is kind of what we are wanting to experience and what us as individuals are experiencing on a daily basis. When the moon is traveling through a sign, we tend to gravitate more towards or feel a little more into the things that sign is into. So on April 7th, that Sagittarius moon is very adventurous. And so it's really good to take on an adventure and look at life as an adventure with that Sagittarius moon, and also like has a really strong connection, Sagittarius, to nature. So this is a good time to just go out into nature, have a good adventure, maybe seek some good knowledge. Sagittarius is a Jupiter-ruled sign. So Jupiter is in Cancer right now. Cancer is the sign of the home, and it's a sign of our more intimate spaces and of our family, like our primary family, that we live with in our home. And the ruling planet is always something to look at. So like when the moon is moving through Sagittarius, we look to the ruling planet, Jupiter, to see what it's up to and like how that ruling planet is working with the moon moving through that sign. And here, Jupiter in Cancer is definitely more about the safe and secure spaces. And so this is more what we yearn for during the Sagittarius moon with Jupiter in Cancer. But Sagittarius moon always has a lot of energy and is enthusiastic. So, if you have something that's going to require a lot of energy and enthusiasm for, take it on tonight on April 7th, because this Sagittarius moon wants to give us a little bit more of that energy, and the focus is more on Sagittarius being a fire sign, about expression and about active action and just getting out and getting what you want. The fire signs are definitely a little more of the leaders, and they like to step up and step out. So that is really what the day is all about on the 7th. And as we move into the 8th of April, Mars is going to make a sextile to Uranus this day. And this is our first little trigger that we get for the week. There's going to be a few little trigger points because Mars is like the loaded gun. So as Mars makes conjunctions in Aries, now moving into Aries this week, and then this sextile with Uranus right before moving into Aries, it's like a loaded gun. We are dealing with some energy that's ready to go. And when Mars is completing its cycle in Pisces, Mars takes about 2 months to move through a sign. So we've had the physical body in Pisces for the last 2 months, and is a little bit more challenged here. Mars doesn't love Pisces, so it's been a challenging couple months for the physical body. Maybe it's felt like like we've just needed to step back a little bit from being super active or doing a lot with our body. Maybe Pisces is like a sign of surrender and rest also, since it's the final sign of the zodiac. Pisces is kind of about giving in and just kind of going with the ebbs and flows of life. So the physical body's been in a water sign. It's been kind of, ebbing and flowing and resting and kind of releasing. And this sextile with Uranus is at the very final degree of Pisces and of Taurus. And a sextile is a really nice, harmonious aspect. The 29th degree, though, is a critical degree, and it's about endings. It's about completing the work that we've been doing in that sign. And Mars, like I mentioned, has been in Pisces for 2 months. So it's like a culmination point on April 8th of all of the work that's been doing in Pisces for the last 2 months. And then Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. So that's a little longer cycle. If you can kind of think back to what's been going on in your life and in your Taurus area of your birth chart since 2018, because Uranus is going to be finishing up and sitting at this final degree, this very critical point. And this is the closing sextile. So a lot of little endings coming in here, but a sextile is about having balance and harmony and for things working out really smoothly and really well and really easily. So whatever this little trigger is, whatever these endings, whatever these finalities are all about between the physical body, and Uranus is the planet of surprise and of change and of awakening. So there could be some kind of surprise that actually takes place. That's like the trigger, Mars being the trigger, and Uranus being a very fast moving electric type of energy already, that there could be something very fast that happens and gets triggered. And that is going to be something that helps us move through this 29-degree point. And Mars is going to be making the conjunction with Uranus here in just a few months. And so this is a closing out point. This is like the endings happening smoothly and harmoniously and with balance. And so I feel pretty good about that, but there could be some anxiety that comes around it, and it's just going to be very quick moving no matter what it is, because Mars and Uranus are very quick moving energies. Also on April 8th, the moon moves into Capricorn. And as the moon moves into Capricorn, we get a little more grounded. This is good. There's not a lot of earth energy in the chart. We have Venus and Uranus and Taurus. So when the moon moves into Capricorn, we get that ambitious, more serious, more of like a work ethic when the moon moves into Capricorn. In Sagittarius, the moon is like a carefree, basically like a free running horse running through a field. You could kind of feel that Sagittarius is, but Capricorn is like we actually are getting to work, and that horse now has the cart to pull behind it, and it's wearing the harness around its neck, and it's being put to work, because Capricorn is absolutely a workhorse. And so we're going to be putting in some work here. As the moon moves through Capricorn, it's going to square off to all of the planets that are in Pisces right now. There's 3 planets in Pisces, and then Mars is going to be moving there on April 9th. So 5 planets in Aries being squared off by this moon over the evening of the 8th, throughout the 9th, throughout the 10th. This could feel like we're going to be running into some challenges as the week progresses, Thursday and Friday very specifically. So Capricorn is a little less emotional. And that could be something that we could really decide to lean into with this Capricorn moon as something that's going to be very helpful as we do approach some challenges as the week progresses. Also on the this week, as we move into Thursday, April 9th, we have that beautiful, fast-moving planet of Mercury that rules our mind and our movement about doing errands and our in and outs, going to work and picking up the kids, all these little transportation things. Mercury also rules the markets. So this is where we can see a little more activity with, wanting to shop and getting the right things ordered and the right type of, products in and the resources taken care of with those mercurial themes. Well, Mercury is leaving the retrograde shadow on April 9th. And this is going to be when we also get some more fresh territory. As Mercury leaves retrograde shadow, we get to close up shop on this Mercury retrograde in Pisces. And it's been good. Pisces has had a lot of action though, and is ready to have Mars and Mercury both move into Aries. And so fresh territory. We get to move on. And this same day on the 9th, Mars is moving into Aries. And it's just like all new, fresh territory from here on out. Mars is the ruling planet of Aries, so it comes home here and is like, hey, everyone, wow, there's a big party going on at my house. All right, well, I'm home, so let's put the spotlight on me and start doing some Mars stuff. And this is a fiery Mars that gets home and is like ready to take action and be really bossy and become the leader of this pack, and isn't afraid to be a little bit aggressive about taking charge, and is not afraid to be argumentative. Mars is strong at home. So these are Mars themes. These are Aries themes. There's an agitation and aggression and argumentative aspect to Mars, the god of war. We could also see just war in general taking more of a spotlight, and there being a trigger here as Mars moves into Aries. So that 0 degree point is known as the world point, 0 degree Aries. And this is very important to know because this is when we can see a lot of action take place on the world stage. And it could be involving some of this aggression. It could be involving war. It could be very quick and like just pulling the trigger and something happening very, very fast. Mars is not the super wise planet either. So it's more of like the teenager, the teenage boy energy, where it's like, I'm strong. I know a lot of things. I know just enough to get myself into trouble, and is not afraid to take action. And so Mars is also the rules, just the physical body. And so we could feel like now that Mars has moved out of Pisces, it's finally time to get it back into our physical routines, right? Like getting back into the sports we love, getting back into doing some of those workouts, or doing more quick-paced workouts. Now that we're out of the Northern Hemisphere anyways, where I live, now that we're out of the deep, dark, cold winter, it's like, time to get going again. And so it's a very instinctual, powerful time when Mars moves into his home sign of Aries. And then Friday the 10th doesn't have any planetary aspects. And so this is where we could just see the spillover from the previous couple of days. And there's been a whole lot of action over the 8th and the 9th. And We're just getting comfortable with the work that it's going to require for all of these new beginnings to take place with the Capricorn moon. And then the moon moves into Aquarius on the 11th, and we finally get a change of some energy here. So Aquarius is a Uranus ruled sign, and Uranus is at that 29-degree point of Taurus, doing more earth shattering things and finalizing all of the things it's been up to since 2018 in Taurus. Taurus is naturally a slow moving sign. Uranus is a quick moving energy. So for those that have Taurus points or lots of Taurus energy in your chart, or even just see where Taurus, the house is, which house it is, because this is where there's just been a lot of action since 2018. And we could feel some of these finalization points really starting to settle in over the 11th and 12th this week as the moon is moving through Aquarius, because by this time next month, when the moon's moving through Aquarius, Uranus will, I believe, have passed into Gemini. So lots of finalizations taking place on in terms of finding our freedom and how we are going to be breaking free, Aquarius, and assuming and taking on a more independent way of life, Aquarius. What new things are taking place? What changes are happening that is aiming me more towards my future? And then on the 13th of April, we have a few aspects that are really interesting and are lining up on the same day. Mars, having moved into Aries, is going to be in a conjunction with Neptune. Neptune is another very futuristic type of energy. It wants to bring in our hopes and dreams and desires. And this is where a lot of that dreaming aspect, where we can see the visions, we can see the dreams. And now when Mars comes in, it triggers these dreams, hopes, and desires. We can take some action on them when Mars is in Aries and we have this conjunction with Neptune. It's like another trigger point for this week, and it's leading to more forward developments now with all this Aries energy. Everything is moving forward. There is no looking back now. And this is also where we have all the planets moving direct for the month of April and the beginning couple weeks of May, until Pluto is the first planet that goes retrograde in like the third week of May. So until then, it's all forward moving, direct planetary energy, helping us to progress and to process, and to now with Mars and Aries, take the action and pull the trigger. So lots of new developments this week as Mars moves into Aries. And next week, we'll see even more of that activity with Mars as makes a conjunction with Saturn. And, but that is for next week. Also on the 13th of April, the moon moves into Pisces. So we get another change of the vibe, another change of the focus. And Pisces, as we mentioned, is that planet, that sign that has to deal with endings. And this is where we dissolve out all of the details and surrender everything. So we fall into a complete watery surrender with the moon in Pisces on the 13th, just in time for the moon to be making a conjunction with the North Node. It's a very destined day when we have the nodes being aspected by the moon. and also Venus in a sextile to Jupiter. This is the sweetest aspect in astrology, and this is where we just get complete pleasure. Everything falls into place. Everything, the sheets are soft. The food tastes good. Everything is happening. We have good luck no matter what we do. Everything just works out for us. It's very harmonious, very joyful. Everything is pleasurable and balanced. And so Venus sextile Jupiter is like a really sweet moment for us to lean into on Monday, April 13th, because it's going to be like a hard, masculine, fast moving week. And so really enjoy the sextile between the two most benevolent planets. This is where people like even just ask for things that they've been wanting to, because there's good luck there. Everybody is in a good mood and wanting to also make everybody feel good. So this is where you like ask for a raise at work, or because Venus has to do with money. So, and Jupiter expands everything. So you might see this as an opportunity to, expand financial opportunities and ask for that raise, or ask for that, low interest loan that you've been wanting, or whatever, because like most likely you'll get it. And this is also in relationships where we just want to ask for things that we want, time with our partner, or if we want the relationship to go further, or wanting to ask somebody out on a date. This is a really, really nice night for that. So yeah, overall, it's a very forward moving week. So we're going to be getting comfortable with all of the new cycles and all of the new energies that are coming in, and the new developments that are taking place with all of this energy in Aries, and it's really, really stimulating. So do what you can to take care of yourself this week, and I know you're going to do great. I will be back again to talk to you soon, and I hope you have an amazing week. Take care. Peace. Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Community Podcast. More can be found at kpov.org/thecosmiccommunity.